A man shouted from the wooden platform, his voice loud and careless. The girl flinched when the crowd laughed. She could not see them, but she heard every sound. Boots scraping dirt. Men coughing. Someone spitting. The man grabbed her arm and lifted it like she was livestock. Blind, he announced. But she can still work. Carry water. Clean stalls. Who wants her? The crowd muttered. A man near the front laughed. What's she worth if she can't see? Another voice answered. Less than a mule. More laughter rolled through the yard. The girl kept her head down. Her fingers trembled at her sides. The man on the platform smacked the wood with his hand. Come on now. Somebody give me a number. $5. Silence followed. A chair creaked somewhere in the crowd. $4, the man tried again. A woman in the back whispered to someone beside her. The girl swallowed slowly. The auctioneer's voice grew impatient. $3. A man spoke up. $2. Another voice said, still too much. The crowd laughed again. The girl's breathing grew shallow. She stood perfectly still like she had learned to do when people talked about her instead of to her. The man sighed loudly. Fine. $1. He raised his voice. $1 for the blind girl. Anyone? For a moment there was only wind brushing the wooden fence. Then a boot stepped forward through the dust. A low voice spoke from the edge of the crowd. $1. The laughter stopped. The auctioneer squinted toward the voice. A tall cowboy stood there, hat low over his eyes. His coat looked worn from years of weather and work. The man on the platform blinked. You serious? The cowboy nodded once. I said $1. Someone in the crowd chuckled. What's he want with a blind girl? Another voice answered. Maybe he needs cheap help. The cowboy didn't look at them. He stepped closer to the platform and placed a single worn dollar bill on the wood. The auctioneer stared at it, then shrugged. Well, a bid's a bid. He slammed the gavel down hard. Sold. The sound echoed across the yard. The man grabbed the girl's arm again and pushed her toward the steps. She stumbled as her foot missed the edge. The cowboy moved quickly and caught her elbow before she hit the ground. His hand was steady and warm. The girl froze for a moment. The man behind them laughed. Careful with her. She don't see where she's going. The cowboy answered quietly. I noticed. The girl turned her head slightly toward his voice. Her eyes were pale and unfocused. Are you the one who bought me? She asked softly. Yes. Why? The cowboy didn't answer right away. The auctioneer leaned over the rail. Hey. Dollar man. The cowboy looked up. Yeah. You know she's trouble, right? The cowboy slipped the dollar bill across the platform. I know what I paid. The auctioneer snorted and pocketed the bill. Suit yourself. The cowboy turned back to the girl. Can you walk? She nodded slowly. Yes. Then we're leaving. He guided her through the crowd. The people stepped aside, watching them pass. One man whispered, "Crazy fool." Another muttered, "Waste of $1." The girl heard every word but said nothing. Outside the auction yard the noise faded behind them. The road stretched quiet under their boots. The cowboy released her arm gently. You hungry? He asked. She hesitated. A little. He reached into his coat and pulled out a piece of bread wrapped in cloth. He placed it carefully in her hands. Eat? She held it for a second before taking a small bite. The bread was soft and warm. Her shoulders relaxed slightly. They walked a few more steps before she spoke again. What's your name? Jonah. Jonah, she repeated quietly. What's yours? She hesitated longer this time. Lena. He nodded once, though she could not see it. All right, Lena. They walked in silence for a minute. Then Lena stopped suddenly. Jonah turned. What is it? She lifted her face toward him. You didn't laugh. Jonah frowned slightly. What? Back there, she said. Everyone laughed. He studied her pale eyes for a moment. I didn't think it was funny. Lena nodded slowly. The wind moved through the trees beside the road. Somewhere far behind them a horse whinnied in the auction yard. Jonah adjusted the strap of his saddlebag and began walking again. Come on, he said. Lena followed his footsteps carefully. After a few steps she spoke again. Where are we going? Jonah answered without turning. Home. Lena walked beside him quietly. The dirt road stretched forward through empty land. For the first time that day, the girl did not feel like someone waiting to be sold again. The road was quiet except for the scrape of boots and the soft clink of the cowboy spurs. Lena's fingers brushed the rough edges of his coat as she tried to find some shape to hold onto. Are we far? She asked. Jonah didn't answer immediately. Not far, he said finally. His voice was calm but low, careful. How long will it take? She pressed. He shook his head slightly. Don't know yet. She stopped walking. You don't know? I know enough. Lena hesitated. Enough for what? Jonah glanced at her but did not slow his pace. Enough to get you out of there. She swallowed and pulled her hand away. Why did you buy me? He kept walking. I told you, I bought you. That's all you need to know. She frowned, frustration tightening her chest. That's all? Nothing else? He stopped for a moment, letting her catch up. Some things aren't for talking about. Not now. Her steps slowed, uncertainty curling around her. Do you even care? Jonah's eyes were fixed on the horizon. I care enough not to leave you back there. Silence followed. Lena listened to the wind in the trees. Somewhere behind them, the distant clamor of the auction yard had faded to nothing. What if they come after me? She asked finally. Jonah didn't answer right away. He dug his heels into the soft earth and kept moving. Do they come often? She tried again. The people who sold me? Some of them, he admitted. Some don't care. She paused, trying to understand. And you? I care, he said quietly. The words hung between them. She kept walking but didn't speak again. After a few steps, a low groan sounded from the woods to their left. Lena flinched. What was that? Jonah shook his head. Nothing. Just an animal. She didn't seem convinced. You always lie? No, he said flatly. I don't lie. Lena's hand brushed his sleeve again. Then why do you not tell me anything? Because some truths will bury you before the world gets a chance, Jonah replied. She frowned. I don't understand. You will. Eventually. They walked on, the dirt road winding through the sparse trees. Lena's steps slowed, her body tense. I can't see, she said softly. I know. Then how do you know? Jonah glanced at her. I notice. Notice what? She stopped again. He didn't answer. The quiet stretched on between them, full of the weight of unspoken things. After a moment he spoke again. You trust me? She hesitated. I don't know if I can. You'll have to, he said. You don't get a choice. Lena's chest tightened. Why me? Jonah's jaw set. Because you're the one left standing. She swallowed. And you? He shook his head, eyes forward. I'm standing too. But for different reasons. They walked another mile in silence. The sun dipped lower behind the hills, shadows stretching across the road. Lena's stomach rumbled. "I'm hungry," she said. Jonah reached into his coat pocket and handed her the small cloth-wrapped bread. "Eat," he said. She unwrapped it slowly and took a bite. "It's warm." It was. "Fresh this morning." She chewed quietly, thinking. "You could have left me there," she said finally. Jonah's steps slowed. "Could have." "Didn't." "Why not?" "You'd be in worse hands." "That's reason enough." She nodded slowly, trying to understand his words. "Do you even like me?" She blurted it out before thinking. Jonah looked at her with faint surprise. "Like you?" "Yes," she said. "I mean, care." "Like care." He didn't answer immediately. "I suppose that depends on what like means," he said finally. "You think I don't matter?" "Not that," he said carefully. "Just complicated." Lena's shoulders slumped. "Everything's complicated." Jonah glanced toward her. "Most of life is." "Doesn't mean we give up." She chewed the last piece of bread and let out a small sigh. "I wish I could see the sky," she murmured. Jonah's voice softened. "You don't need to see it to know it's there." She listened to the wind, to the empty stretch of road. "What if they come for me tonight?" Jonah's eyes were sharp. "Then we make sure they don't get close." "How?" "You follow me." "That's how." Lena nodded slowly, feeling the weight of the promise. "And if you leave me?" "I don't leave," he said simply. The words were flat but firm. She kept quiet, unsure if she could trust them, unsure if she should. "Do you talk to everyone like this?" she asked. "Some of them," he said. "Most don't last long." Lena shivered slightly. "Then why do you talk to me?" Jonah glanced at her briefly. "Because you might last." They walked another stretch, the road narrowing, dirt giving way to stones and uneven earth. Lena stumbled slightly. Jonah's hand caught her elbow, steady and firm. "Careful," he said. "I've got you." "I know," she whispered. They kept moving, boots kicking dust into the fading light. Somewhere far behind, a dog barked. The sound faded as they left the edges of the town behind. "Will we stop soon?" Lena asked. Jonah shook his head. "Not yet." "Keep walking." "Where's your house?" "Not far now," he said. "But you won't see it yet." "We'll get there slow." Lena exhaled softly, trying to let the tension out of her shoulders. "I hope it's safe." "It is." "I'll make sure," he said. The sun slipped below the horizon, shadows creeping in long fingers across the road. The wind whispered through the trees. Lena walked beside him, her hand lightly brushing his coat, trusting him a little, though she didn't know why. The night was coming, but for the first time since the auction, she didn't feel completely alone. Jonah's steady presence beside her was enough to make the silence bearable. He didn't ask questions, didn't lecture. He just walked. And Lena, for the first time in a long while, let herself follow. The road ahead was unknown. The future uncertain. But she could hear him, she could feel him, and that was enough for now. He had bought her for $1, but in that quiet stretch of road, she realized the value of safety was far greater. The night pressed in, dark and heavy, but together they kept moving. No words were wasted, yet every word mattered. The world behind them was fading, leaving only the dirt, the trees, and the soft, measured steps of the cowboy who refused to abandon her. The house appeared through the trees, low and long, wood darkened by years of sun and rain. Lena hesitated at the edge of the clearing. She could feel the rough edges of boards, the uneven ground, the smell of old smoke and dry earth. Jonah waited a step behind her. "It's not much," he said. "But it's home." She swallowed. "It's quiet." "Quiet's good sometimes," he said. She ran her fingers along the worn fence posts, trying to memorize the shape of the world. "I've never been somewhere quiet," she said softly. Jonah's boots scuffed the dirt behind her. You'll get used to it. Will I? I think so, he said, his voice low. They stepped onto the porch. The boards creaked. She froze. It sounds alive, she said. That's just the wood, he said. Nothing's alive except the wind and the rats. She laughed softly, a fragile sound. Rats? Don't worry. Mostly they stay outside. He opened the door. Inside, the air smelled of dust, old wood, and something faintly bitter. Lena reached out with her hands. She traced the edges of the doorframe, the wall, the table. Jonah watched silently. Do you always touch everything? She asked. I need to know what's real, he said. I guess that makes sense. They moved to the kitchen. A kettle hung over the old stove. He filled it with water from a battered metal bucket. Lena's hands hovered over the counter, exploring. Do you live alone? She asked. Mostly, he said. Sometimes not. Who comes? Nobody you'd know. She listened to the water bubbling. I don't know this place, she said quietly. You'll know it soon enough, he said. The kettle hissed. She moved closer, trying to hear more than just the sound. Why did you take me here? Jonah's voice was careful. Because it's safe. Because I said so. And if it's not? It will be, he said, firm. Silence fell. She could hear the walls settling, the wind through the cracks, the faint scrape of his boots. I can't see, she said finally. I know, he said. That's fine. You don't need to see. She frowned. Then how do you know I'm here? I notice, he said simply. She ran her fingers along the edge of the table. I don't know if I can trust this. Jonah's jaw tightened. You trust me by walking with me. That's a start. She exhaled slowly. I'm not used to starts. Most people aren't, he said. The kettle whistled. He lifted it carefully and poured hot water into a chipped mug. Here, he said, handing it to her. Careful. She took it, feeling the warmth seep into her hands. Thanks, she said. He nodded. Sit down. It's easier that way. She settled on a chair, listening to the faint crackle of the stove. What do you do here all day? She asked. Depends, he said. Sometimes I fix things. Sometimes I ride. Sometimes I sit. You sit a lot, she said. He shrugged. Some things need thinking. Like what? Like how to keep you safe, he said. Her chest tightened. She didn't know if she should believe him or not. Do you talk to people? She asked. Sometimes, he said. Not many. Do they talk back? Most don't listen anyway. She paused. I listen. Good, he said. Silence filled the room, thick but not uncomfortable. She could hear the walls, the floorboards, the faint wind. It felt alive. Do you sleep here alone? She asked. Sometimes, he said. When I do, it's quiet enough to hear the truth. She frowned. The truth? What you need to know. What I need to know. What the world tries to hide. She sipped her tea. It tastes safe, she said softly. Jonah's eyes, barely visible under the shadow of his hat, met hers. Safe's hard to come by, he said. Better take it when you can. She nodded. The room fell silent again. She listened to his breathing, the faint hum of the wind, the kettle cooling on the stove. For the first time in a long while, she felt like the world had stopped chasing her. Jonah stood and stretched. Come on, he said. Time to show you the rest. She followed slowly, fingers brushing walls, edges, the furniture. Each touch mapped the place into her memory. It's bigger than I thought, she said. Bigger enough, he said. They reached the back door. Outside, the ranch stretched into darkness, the ground uneven, the fence broken in places. She could feel the open air, the damp earth. "It's quiet," she whispered. "Quiet can be dangerous," he said. "Or safe." "Which one is this?" "Depends on who you are," he said. She closed her eyes and breathed it in. The smell of wet dirt, the faint tang of smoke, the whisper of the wind. "I think I like it," she said softly. Jonah's hand hovered near hers but didn't touch. "You'll get used to it," he said. "I hope." Silence settled over the two of them. She could hear his boots shifting on the dirt, the faint rustle of the trees. He didn't ask her to speak again. She didn't speak. And yet, the connection between them felt solid, anchored in something unspoken but certain. The night pressed in around the edges of the house, dark and watchful. Lena's ears tuned to every sound. Jonah's presence behind her was steady, patient. The wind whispered through the broken fence. Somewhere far off, a branch snapped. She jumped slightly. Jonah's hand brushed her elbow. "Careful," he said softly. "I've got you." She nodded. "I know." They walked along the perimeter of the house. Her hands reached out, tracing posts, the corners of the walls. "It's strange," she said. "Being here with someone who doesn't explain everything." "Strange things often make sense later," he said. She paused. "I hope it makes sense." Jonah didn't answer immediately. "It will. Eventually." They circled the house slowly, the ground uneven beneath their boots, the wind cold against her face. The darkness pressed close, but with him nearby, it felt less threatening. Less empty. The night seemed to breathe with them. "I can hear everything," she said. "Yes," he said. "Everything." Silence filled the space between them again. But it no longer felt heavy. It felt like the beginning of something she could trust. Jonah glanced at her. "Let's go inside. The night waits for no one." She followed, letting the warmth of the house and the quiet strength of his presence guide her steps. For the first time, Lena felt like she was learning what home might feel like. Lena's fingers brushed the fence as she stepped away from the house. The barn loomed ahead, dark and heavy, wood-aged and sagging in places. Jonah followed quietly, boots crunching on the dirt. "Do you always take people back here?" she asked. "Sometimes," he said. "Depends on who they are." She paused. "Am I supposed to be special?" Jonah didn't answer immediately. "Not special. Just noticed." She frowned, not sure what that meant. They reached the edge of the barn. The boards smelled of old hay and dust, of rain soaked into dry wood long ago. A low wind whispered through the cracks. "I can feel it," she said softly. "Feel what?" "The walls. They're alive somehow." Jonah tilted his head. "Walls hold memory. You feel what's left behind." She traced the corner of the barn with her hands. "It's cold." "It's winter," he said. She stopped suddenly. Her fingers pressed into the dirt at the base of a weathered wooden post. "There's something here." Jonah crouched beside her. "What is it?" She leaned closer. "A mound. Small. But deliberate." "A grave," he said quietly. Her fingers froze. "Whose?" He stayed silent for a moment. "Someone I lost," he said finally. She pulled her hand back. "You buried someone here?" "Yes." "Who?" Jonah's eyes were dark under the shadow of his hat. "My daughter," he said softly. She felt a sudden tightness in her chest. I'm sorry," she whispered. Jonah's jaw tightened. "There's nothing to be sorry for." She traced the earth again with her fingertips. "How long ago?" "A long time," he said. "Time doesn't matter here." She looked up toward the dark shape of the barn. "Why show me this?" "Because you need to know what kind of man I am." Because you'll see the rest soon enough. She nodded slowly, trying to understand. I didn't mean to intrude. You didn't, he said. I wanted you to see it. She swallowed hard. The mound was small, simple, marked by a single splintered post. No flowers, no names. Just earth and memory. Do you come here often? She asked. Always, he said. When I need to remember. When I need to let go. When I need to think. Silence stretched between them. The wind shifted, rustling dry grass around the grave. She could hear it whispering through the trees. Did she look like me? Lena asked quietly. Jonah's eyes flicked toward her. No, he said softly. She was everything I lost before I even knew it. She hesitated. Does it hurt? Every day, he said. Even now. You feel it in your bones. She nodded slowly. I think I understand, she whispered. He studied her, waiting. You're brave, he said finally. Braver than most people I know. She shook her head. I'm just scared, she admitted. Scared and blind. He reached out, letting his hand hover near hers. Being blind doesn't make you weak. Being scared doesn't either. She exhaled. I think I like you, she said softly. Jonah didn't respond. He just watched her carefully. The wind carried the faint smell of earth and decay. Do you talk to her? She asked, gesturing vaguely toward the mound. Sometimes, he said. Mostly I listen. She leaned closer. Do you tell her things? Everything I can't say anywhere else, he said quietly. The world isn't kind to quiet souls. She frowned. Is that why you saved me? He didn't answer immediately. I saved you because no one else would, he said finally. Because someone needed to. Lena's hand hovered above the dirt. She didn't touch it. Do you think I could ever forgive them? Who? Jonah asked. The ones who sold me. Treated me like I was nothing. He shook his head slowly. Forgiveness isn't for them. It's for you. If you need it, you'll take it. If not, you keep moving. She pulled back. I don't know if I can move. You can, he said. I'll make sure you do. They stood in silence for a moment, listening to the wind and the shifting boards of the barn. The sun was low, fading behind distant hills. Shadows stretched long across the dirt and the mound. Will you ever stop coming here? She asked finally. No, he said simply. I need to remember her. I need to feel her. Even if it hurts. She exhaled slowly. It must hurt a lot. It does, he admitted. But it keeps me human. Keeps me grounded. She nodded, feeling the weight of his words. I think I understand, she whispered again. He let her stand there a moment, letting her absorb the silence. Then he said, Come on. Time to see the rest of the ranch. She followed him slowly, hands brushing the fence posts, tracing the shapes of the barn, the ground, the shadows. You never told anyone about her? She asked. Jonah shook his head. Most people wouldn't care. Or they'd judge. I don't need judgment. I understand, she said softly. I think. He glanced at her briefly. Good. That's enough for now. They moved away from the barn slowly, the wind carrying the faint scent of earth and decay behind them. The night crept in over the ranch. Stars began to prick the sky. Lena could hear the weight of the world in the silence between the trees and the low groan of the barn settling. Jonah's presence behind her was steady, unyielding. She didn't see the grave, but she could feel its truth etched into the earth. And for the first time, she realized that grief could be shared, even if it was silent. Even if it was unspoken. She followed him, letting the ranch, the wind, the darkness, and the memory of loss guide her steps. The world behind them faded, leaving only the barn, the grave, and the man who refused to leave her side. And in that quiet, Lena felt a fragile sort of safety she hadn't known she could feel again. Lena sat on the porch steps, fingers tracing the grain of the wood as Jonah stepped back to look at the horizon. The wind carried the faint scent of smoke from a distant fire, sharp and biting. "Do you hear that?" she asked softly. Jonah's eyes narrowed. "Hear what?" "Horses," she said. "Horses? This late?" He nodded slowly. "Not alone. Someone's coming." She swallowed. "Who?" Jonah didn't answer immediately. He turned his gaze to the distant tree line where the shadows moved. "The family," he said finally. Lena stiffened. "The family? The ones who owned you. The ones who think they own everything." Her chest tightened. "They can't take me back, right?" Jonah's jaw clenched. "Not if I have anything to say about it." She leaned back, trying to feel the ground beneath her. "I don't even know them. Why are they coming here?" Jonah's voice was flat. "Because they always come when they think they're losing something." The sound of hooves grew louder, rhythmic, deliberate. Lena's fingers dug into the wood beneath her. "Are they dangerous?" Jonah didn't answer at first. "They can be." She turned her head toward him. "Can be?" "They are," he said quietly. "If they think you belong to them." Lena swallowed hard. "Then we have to hide?" Jonah shook his head slowly. "No. We don't hide. We face them. They need to know they can't scare us." She froze. "Face them? Alone?" "Not alone," he said. "With me." Silence hung over the porch. The hooves stopped near the edge of the clearing. Voices drifted across the air, loud, commanding. "Jonah," someone shouted. "There you are. We've been looking for the girl." Jonah's hand dropped to the hilt of his knife at his belt, though it didn't glint in the fading light. "We're not giving her back," he said quietly. Lena's fingers gripped the wood tighter. "Not giving her back?" "No," he said. "She's not theirs." Another voice barked from the shadows. "That girl belongs to us. You don't get to take her." Jonah's eyes scanned the darkness. "She belongs to no one," he said calmly. "Least of all you." Lena leaned closer to him. "What if they try to take me by force?" Jonah's voice was steady. "Then they'll see what it costs to touch what isn't theirs." A figure emerged from the trees, tall, broad-shouldered, hat low over his eyes. Behind him, more figures followed, men and women who moved like they had owned every inch of this land for generations. "Jonah," the first man said, voice sharp. "You don't know what you're doing. That girl is ours." Jonah stepped forward, boots crunching against the dry dirt. "She's not property. She's a person. You think $1 buys her? Think again." The man spat on the ground. "You bought her for $1. That's all she's worth." Jonah's hand tightened on the fence rail. "And yet you've never known what she's worth in a lifetime." Lena's heart pounded. She stayed low, feeling the edge of the porch beneath her fingers. "Jonah, what do we do?" He didn't answer immediately. "We stand," he said finally. "We don't run. We don't hide. We stand." The man laughed, a cold, sharp sound. "You're crazy. You think you can face all of us?" Jonah didn't move. "I don't think. I know." Lena felt a tremor in her chest. "And if they hurt you?" He looked down at her. "Then I make sure it doesn't matter. Not to you." Another figure stepped forward, a woman this time, eyes hard, voice sharp. "We're not leaving without her." Jonah glanced at Lena. "You hear that?" "I hear," she said. "Stay close." He motioned for her to step down from the porch. "Come with me. Walk the edge of the clearing. Stay out of reach." She did as he said, fingers brushing the rough bark of a tree as they moved. The family's eyes followed them, scanning the shadows. "Why are you protecting her?" one of the men shouted. Jonah didn't turn. "Because she deserves to live her life, not theirs." "You think you can defy all of us?" The woman stepped closer. "This land, this town, this family, it all belongs to us." Jonah's voice was calm, unwavering. "Not everything belongs to the cruelest, the loudest, or the oldest. Some things belong to the living. Some belong to truth." Lena's fingers grazed a rock. She could feel the uneven edges beneath her hands. "Jonah, I don't think I can do this," she whispered. He turned his head slightly. "You can. You're stronger than you think. And I'm right here." The wind shifted, carrying dust and the faint scent of smoke toward the family. Their horses shifted, restless, but Jonah's stance didn't falter. "We're not leaving," he repeated. "She's ours to protect. You'll have to take her from me first." A tense silence fell over the clearing. The wind rustled through the sparse trees. Lena could hear the shallow breathing of both sides. She could hear the pounding of her own heart. "Do you think they'll attack?" she asked softly. Jonah didn't answer at first. Then he said, "They'll test us. Maybe. But I won't let them." Lena exhaled slowly. "I'm scared." "Good," he said. "It means you're alive. Means you know what's at stake. Use it." Another voice from the shadows sneered. "You think one man can stop a whole family?" Jonah glanced at Lena, then back at the line of figures. "No. But one man and one girl? They might just see the truth." Lena's hands gripped the rough bark of the tree. She could feel the tension, the threat, and yet, a strange sense of calm settled over her. Jonah's presence beside her, steady and unyielding, gave her courage she hadn't known she could feel. The night pressed close. Shadows stretched across the clearing. Hooves shifted, boots scraped, voices rose and fell. And in the middle of it all, a man and a girl stood together, unafraid, ready to face a family that believed they owned the world. Jonah glanced at her one last time. "You ready?" "I think so," she whispered. "Good. Then let's show them they're wrong." The fire crackled low in the hearth, sending flickering shadows across the walls of the old ranch house. Lena sat on the floor, knees pulled to her chest, listening to the quiet groan of the wooden beams above. Jonah stirred the coals, sparks lifting into the air. "Do you want to tell me?" he asked softly. "Tell you what?" she whispered, voice trembling. "The truth about what happened. Why you're like this." She pulled a hand through her hair. "I've never said it out loud." Jonah didn't move, didn't rush her. "Then say it now." "I'm listening." Her fingers pressed into the floor. I was supposed to help. They said I was useless otherwise." Her voice cracked. "But I tried. I always tried." "Tried what?" Jonah asked quietly. "To do right. To do enough. And they didn't care." "Who didn't care?" "The family," she said. "The ones that sold me. The ones that," she swallowed, voice catching. "They made me blind." Jonah stiffened but said nothing. Lena's breath trembled. "It was an accident," she whispered. "No one would admit it. But I know. I felt it. I heard it. That night, everything went wrong. And I was nothing to them after that." The silence stretched. Jonah finally spoke. "I know now. You're not nothing. You're everything they wanted to destroy." Her fingers trembled against the floor. "Why didn't anyone stop them?" Jonah's jaw tightened. "Because fear makes people blind. Fear makes them follow orders instead of hearts." She looked at him. You really get it?" "I do," he said softly. "More than you know." She hugged her knees closer. "I never told anyone. I couldn't. They'd laugh. Or worse. Jonah sat down beside her, careful to leave space, letting her have control. You don't have to tell anyone else. You tell me. That's enough. She exhaled slowly. I was 10. Maybe 11. I can't remember exactly. They said I was lazy. Useless. I tried to prove them wrong. And then, everything went dark. They did this to you, Jonah said, quiet but firm. Yes, she said, voice breaking. I can feel the memory. I can feel the pain. And you survived, he said. Yes, she whispered. I had to. You're braver than you realize, he said. No, she said softly. I was just lucky. Luck doesn't get you this far, he said. Strength does. You have it, even if you don't see it. Lena's eyes filled with tears she could feel but no one could see. I never wanted anyone to know, she said. I thought if I stayed quiet, nothing worse could happen. Jonah nodded slowly. I understand. The fire crackled again, small sparks rising. I've carried this for so long, she said. It's heavy. It will always be heavy, he said. But sharing it makes it lighter. Makes it yours. She nodded slowly, letting the words sink in. Do you ever carry your own ghosts? She asked softly. Jonah didn't answer immediately. Yes, he said finally. I carry mine every day. Then, maybe we're the same, she whispered. In some ways, he said. We both carry things no one else can see. She touched the edge of his coat lightly. You understand pain? I know it, he said simply. And I know what it feels like to lose someone. She pressed her forehead to her knees. I've always felt so small. Invisible. Jonah's voice was steady. You're not invisible to me. Not even to you? Not even, he said. I see you. All of you. Silence fell again, but it was warmer now, softer. The shadows danced on the walls, the fire crackled, the house groaned under the night. Lena exhaled slowly. Do you think they know the truth? Jonah's jaw tightened. No. They'll never know the full truth. But that's okay. They don't have to. You have it now. You're allowed to carry it your way. She nodded, letting the words settle. Do you think I can live with it? You already are, he said. One day, it won't weigh so much. You'll carry it differently. You'll decide what it means to you. And if they come back, she asked. Jonah's hand hovered near hers, comforting, not touching. Then they'll see. You're not the same girl they left broken. You're stronger. You survived. She closed her eyes, letting the warmth of the fire and the presence of Jonah hold her. Thank you, she whispered. For staying. For listening. He nodded quietly. I'm not leaving. Not now. Not ever. Do you ever forgive them? She asked softly. Forgiveness isn't for them, he said. It's for you. If you need it, you'll find it. If not, you move forward anyway. Lena exhaled, a small sound, letting herself lean slightly toward him. I think I can start. Good, he said. Start small. One step at a time. The fire hissed, the shadows shifted, and the night pressed against the walls of the house. Outside, the wind whispered through the trees. Inside, two figures sat in quiet understanding, carrying burdens too heavy for most, but shared now in the soft, flickering light. And in that silence, Lena realized something she hadn't in years: speaking the truth, even in whispers, could be the first step toward reclaiming herself. Jonah's presence beside her, unwavering and steady, made her believe she could survive the world outside these walls, no matter what came next. The morning sun cut through the cracks in the barn roof, sharp lines of light on the dusty floor. Lena followed Jonah outside, boots crunching on the uneven earth. Where are we going? She asked. The well, he said. There's something there you need to see. She hesitated. A well? It's just water. Jonah glanced at her, a faint smile touching his lips. Sometimes wells hold more than water. Her fingers brushed the rough wood of the fence as they walked. What do you mean? You'll see, he said, tone flat but certain. The well sat at the edge of the pasture, stones weathered and moss-covered. A wooden bucket hung from a frayed rope. Lena ran her hands along the stones, feeling the cold dampness. It smells old, she said. It is, Jonah replied. Old things keep secrets. He knelt and untied the rope, lowering the bucket slowly. Lena's fingers traced the rope as it went down, the pulley creaking under the weight. What's in it? She asked. Patience, he said. And maybe truth. When he lifted the bucket again, Lena felt a folded piece of paper inside. A letter, she whispered. Jonah nodded. He handed it to her carefully. Touch it first. Feel the folds. She traced the edges, running her fingers over the paper. It's old, she said softly. Very, Jonah confirmed. Do you know whose it is? Lena shook her head. No. Do you? Not exactly, he said. But it's connected to you. To them. Her chest tightened. The family? Jonah's jaw clenched. Yes. Their history. Their secrets. Things they wanted buried. She hesitated, running her fingers over the folded paper. Do you want me to open it? Jonah's eyes met hers. If you're ready. Lena's fingers trembled slightly as she unfolded the letter. The words were cramped, ink-faded, but still legible to her fingertips. It talks about me, she asked softly. Jonah nodded. Your life, your family, their plans. Everything they tried to hide. Her lips parted. All this time, they kept it from me? They didn't think you should know, Jonah said quietly. Because the truth would hurt too much. Or maybe because they didn't want anyone to see their shame. Lena traced the letters slowly. It says, my blindness wasn't an accident. Jonah exhaled. I knew it, he said softly. But now you have proof. She pressed the paper against her chest. I can't believe it. Everything I thought, lies. They're just stories they told themselves, Jonah said. Not yours. Her fingers trembled. Then, what do I do with this? You carry it carefully, he said. Use it when you need it. Let it guide you, not control you. Lena looked up at him. You think I can face them? Jonah's voice was steady. You don't have to face them alone. We face them together. She nodded slowly, folding the letter carefully. It feels heavy. Truth often does, he said. But heavier is letting lies live in your life. They stood in silence for a moment, listening to the wind in the trees and the distant lowing of cattle. Do you think they know someone found this? Lena asked. Not yet, Jonah said. And even if they do, they won't know who's holding the truth. She swallowed. I don't know if I'm ready for all of this. Jonah reached out, hand hovering near hers. You are. You're stronger than you think. And I'm right here. Lena exhaled slowly, pressing her hand to the letter. It's like, a part of them is finally mine to hold. Jonah nodded. Exactly. It's your turn now. She took a step closer to the well, feeling the cold stones beneath her fingers. Do you ever regret saving me? She asked quietly. No, Jonah said. Not for a second. You've changed everything. She felt a faint warmth in his words. Even if I'm blind? Even because you're blind, he said softly. You see more than most. You feel more. You survive more. Lena pressed her forehead to the edge of the well, feeling the damp stone. It's a lot, she whispered. I know, he said. And we'll take it one step at a time. The wind shifted, carrying dust and the faint scent of earth from the well. Lena opened her fingers, letting the letter brush against the stone. "Do you think the family would expect this?" "They'd never believe it," Jonah said. "They've lived with lies so long, truth feels impossible." She nodded slowly. "Then it's mine." Jonah's hand brushed her elbow lightly. "And we'll use it wisely. Not for revenge, not for hate. For justice. For you." She exhaled slowly, letting the words settle. The sun climbed higher, warming the damp stones. Lena held the letter close, feeling the weight and the power in her hands. "I think I can do it," she whispered. Jonah smiled faintly, eyes steady. "I know you can." They stood together, silent but united, the well between them holding the secrets of a family too long protected by shadows. Lena could feel the history, the lies, the heavy truths pressing around her. But with Jonah beside her, she knew she could bear it. She could face it. And the first step had begun. The wind shifted again, carrying the whispers of the past through the trees. Lena held the letter tightly, feeling the connection to a history she had never known and the strength to take it forward, one deliberate step at a time. Jonah's presence remained constant, unwavering, the weight of the past balanced by the certainty of his loyalty. And for the first time, Lena felt a quiet resolve settle into her bones. The well had revealed its secret. Now it was time to decide what to do with it. The late afternoon sun cut across the pasture, painting long shadows from the broken fence posts. Lena walked beside Jonah, fingers brushing the rough wood of the fence as they approached the edge of the clearing. The family's ranch sat across the way, sprawling and intimidating, cattle grazing like a line of sentinels. "This is it," Jonah said softly. Lena's chest tightened. "This is where they'll try to take me back?" Jonah nodded slowly. "If they dare. But we're not hiding." She swallowed hard. "We can't hide?" Jonah shook his head. "Hiding won't help. Standing up will." Her fingers dug into the fence, nails pressing into the weathered wood. "I've never faced people like them." "Then you'll learn," he said quietly. "And you're not alone." Across the clearing, the family stepped forward. Their eyes cold, their hands gripping the reins of horses. "Jonah," a man shouted, voice carrying over the field. "You can't keep her." "I never intended to," Jonah said flatly. "But she's not yours." Lena's knees went weak. "There's so many," she whispered. Jonah's hand hovered near hers. "Then stay close. Watch me. Follow me." She nodded. The man in front spat on the ground. $1. That's all you paid. And you think that changes anything?" Jonah's eyes narrowed. $1 bought a girl. A lifetime won't buy her obedience. Laughter ran through the line of figures. "Crazy fool," someone muttered. "You don't know who you're messing with." Jonah stepped forward, boots crunching the dirt. "I know exactly who I'm messing with. And I know what's right." Lena's hands shook as she brushed the fence. "Right?" "Yes," he said simply. "Right isn't about money, or power, or fear. Right is about standing your ground." The family laughed, low and hard. "You think you can face all of us? One man, one blind girl?" Jonah glanced at Lena. "We're not one blind girl. We're two people who refuse to be owned." She exhaled, breath catching. "Two," he said softly. "Yes. Two." Jonah shifted slightly. "They've ruled this land for generations. They think it's theirs. But we have something they never understand. Courage. Truth. And resolve." A woman stepped forward, eyes narrowed. "We can crush you," she said, voice sharp. Jonah didn't flinch. "Then you'll try. And fail." Lena felt the wind shift, carrying dust and tension. Her fingers clutched the fence tighter. "What if they hurt you?" she whispered. Jonah glanced at her, steady. "Then it won't matter." Not to you. She exhaled slowly. The family's voices rose in anger. You'll regret this, the first man shouted. Jonah's jaw tightened. Regret is for those who surrender. We don't. Lena pressed her hands to her knees, listening to every movement, the horses shifting, the wind in the grass, the distant lowing of cattle. I'm scared, she whispered. Good, Jonah said quietly. It means you care. It means you're alive.